Well, good morning and welcome to the show. Jeff Beals here at your service. We're brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing. Glad you have joined us. You're not going to find another show anywhere in the metro area that talks about business expansion, real estate construction, and anything related to Omaha becoming more vibrant and more prosperous. My co-host Trenton Magid has the weekend off, and in his place, we have a guest co-host today, my good friend Craig Wolf. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Jeff. What an honor to be here, and what big shoes to fill today.
You do have some big shoes to fill and some pretty nice sized pants as well.
You know, in Trenton's form, you know, he would say then, well, you know what they say about people with big shoes?
What's that?
Big socks.
Big socks. You do have some big shoes to fill,
Yes, I do.
And Trenton, we give Trenton the weekend off every once in a while because he deserves it. And we should give you a little bit of background. Craig is an entrepreneur and actually been my friend since kindergarten. So if you don't mind me betraying your age, that's 48 years that we've been friends since kindergarten. Yes. And you've known Trenton since high school.
I have. Trenton, well, all three of us went to Westside and graduated in 87, and it's been just a great ride since then. And who would have thunk, Jeff, that, you know, when we were 5 years old running the streets of 84th and Center, that we would be on the radio show together? That's
true. I would get on my yellow bike with the banana seat and ride over to your block and hang out, and you know, that's kind of what we did.
Yeah, and I got on the big wheel and rode up the hill, Arbor Street there, and the glory days, huh?
It took you a while to get up that hill on that big wheel.
It did. I still have nightmares about it. Now I, go over that direction just for the memories, and I think this little tiny hill was that hard to get up. It's one of those weird things.
But now we're getting old enough that the hill would be hard enough to get up again.
This is true.
So Craig is the owner of Cheer Athletics, and along with his wife Tiffany. And Cheer Athletics is the sponsor of our restaurant reviews. We call them Omaha Eats with Sarah Baker Hansen. And we'll talk about Cheer Athletics as well. But Craig is a bona fide entrepreneur. You're involved in several businesses in Omaha, and why don't you kind of give us an idea about what a couple of them are all about?
Thanks, Jeff. I spent 28 years for a company, Arias Medical, which is healthcare staffing, and we sold the company in October 2019. And once I left, I decided I had to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And so these days, outside of being an Uber driver to Evangeline, Alana, and Barrett, my 14, 12, and 9-year-old, I am doing some healthcare consulting for a healthcare staffing company out of Fremont, RTG. Last Thursday, RTG had an open house. They've just constructed and moved into a 60,000 square foot building off of Highway 30 there in Fremont.
Right on a lake.
It is.
Beautiful.
Oh my gosh, this building, they have done a magnificent job. And Charlie Jansen and Jeremy Gunther, Dave Gunther, they have created a culture there is second to none. I feel just blessed to be with that organization, being able to give my input, whether they listen to it or not, here and there is really fun. And they are aggressively hiring an economic leader there in Fremont. And when you say Fremont, some people will say, "Well, gosh, that's a long ways to drive." It's really not anymore. And so as the city continues to progress west, it's a pretty easy drive. That you're going against the flow of traffic in the morning and in the evening. And so if you're out there looking for work, RTG might be the place for you.
And by the way, Fremont is technically part of what's called the Combined Metropolitan Statistical Area of Omaha. All of Dodge County is.
I did not know that.
So yeah, it's technically part of the area. So we cover Fremont here on the Grow Omaha show.
Well, these guys are doing a great job out there, and they're definitely leading the way in Fremont for economic development.
And then you are also involved in a lot of other things, but one thing would be maybe a real estate project.
Yeah, I'm helping Joe and Christina Philbin and Tim. They own Story Homes. Tim Young, formerly of Boyer Young. I'm in real estate development, 99 lots out on 216th and Lincoln in Gretna. Wasn't really in the real estate world before, and so I'm learning quite a lot from those three. And we just finished grading out there, and if you are looking to relocate, build a new home, come out to 216th and Lincoln, the Lincoln Ridge Development in Gretna, and see if there's a lot that you like that you want to build on.
Well, and there are also a couple online businesses that Craig's involved in, but let's talk a little bit about Cheer Athletics. First of all, thank you for sponsoring Grow Omaha Eats. We appreciate that. And
Absolutely.
Give us an idea about what Cheer Athletics is and what makes it unique.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about Cheer Athletics. Tiffany and I brought Cheer Athletics to Omaha at the beginning of 2021. The corporate headquarters is out of Plano. There are 12 locations around the country. Cheer Athletics is the #1 cheer gym, all-star cheer gym in the country. And in the Midwest, when you talk about cheer, at least the people I talk to, they immediately go to, gosh, it's sideline cheer, football cheer, basketball cheer. This is a different type of athletic cheer. It's the tumbling, the dancing, the gymnastics, the stunting. And so these are athletes that are working anywhere from 2 hours a week in the gym to potentially up to 8 hours every single week. Cheer starts in May, ends in April, so it's a year-round sport. Great organizations have to have great people. We're led by our development director, Krista Gilson, our technical director, Andy Liptek. When I grow up, I want to be just like them. They're just amazing people that help our coaching staff develop our athletes. And while our athletes come in for all-star cheer to perform, and we have teams that perform on a national basis, we have teams that perform just on a local basis, we have classes, private one-on-ones in all areas of tumbling, stunting. We really strive to work to make these athletes well-rounded people. So they come to us for cheer, but from my standpoint, we want to develop them from a nutritional standpoint, to give them the insight of the importance of putting the right foods into their body, especially as athletes. We also talk about the aspect of mental health. Physical health, yes, is obviously very important, but we now know the importance of taking care of yourself from a behavioral health standpoint. The Kim Foundation we brought in last week, which has been on your show before.
Mm-hmm. Just a couple weeks ago.
They were. And we brought in the Kim Foundation last week to talk to our athletes about taking care of themselves from a behavioral health standpoint. And then there's developing leadership skills. Not everything goes well when you're up on stage. There are times that we don't do as well as we want. And those are opportunities for us to teach our athletes about being leaders then. It's always easy to be a leader when things are going great. It's really in crisis or a tough situation that's when the true leaders stand up, and we have opportunities to develop these kids to be leaders. And when they leave us, my hope is that because they were part of Cheer Athletics, that they may go make a contribution to the world.
And the Omaha location of Cheer Athletics is located in the Papillion area, just southwest of highways 370 and 50. Beautiful warehouse building. You have to have that high ceiling so they can throw each other in the air, right?
Yes. When we were looking for space, we just really it was difficult because with the stunting and the throwing that we do, we needed to have high ceilings. So we have 30,000 square feet in the third building back on Highway 50 and 370 there. And because we're Cheer Athletics, we have a lot of national people come through. When they come through Omaha, they call us. They want to either train in our building or see the building. And we really feel like we're a service to our community here at Cheer Athletics. Even though we're youth sports, but yet we want to develop athletes, have them be part of our family. And what we're told is we have the nicest cheer gym in the entire country. So we're pretty excited about that. That wasn't our intent when we built it, but we put a lot of love into it, and obviously that paid off. Well,
and they have customers, clients, athletes who come from Lincoln and even further to participate. And so you can find out more about Cheer Athletics by going to cheerathletics.com or stopping by the location near Highway 50 and Highway 370. Well, Craig and I are now going to go into the news of the week. which is brought to you by Eagle Mortgage. Eagle Mortgage Company is a mortgage broker. And sometimes people will say, well, why should I use a mortgage broker when I can just go to some retail bank? Well, on average, brokers save homeowners $9,000 over the life of a loan compared to retail lenders and banks. In fact, in 2021, the average borrower savings was over $9,400 between upfront cost savings and interest savings. And even though interest rates are rising, they, being mortgage brokers like Eagle Mortgage, are still better than most of your credit cards or other types of loans that you might want to get. And of course, Eagle Mortgage can also help you with high debt consolidation. So definitely check them out. You can find them online at eaglemortgagecompany.com. That's eaglemortgagecompany.com. All right, some news items for this week. First of all, Google has announced that it will add Omaha to the growing number of cities offering its Google Fiber, which is high-speed internet service to residential and small business customers. Craig, we already have great infrastructure here, but this makes Omaha even better. We're now the 19th market to get Google Fiber.
And I think that's pretty special, to be one of the early markets, to be able to have an opportunity at Google Fiber, to bring in Google Fiber. I think that's it really speaks to what the growth of Omaha and what we're doing here.
Well, and in addition to this new Google Fiber announcement, let us not forget that Google has already invested billions and billions of dollars in this metro area. Huge data center on 1,000 acres in Council Bluffs, a big one just south of Cheer Athletics in Papillion, right, and now a third one under development in Northwest Omaha. So, Craig, you're an Air Force man, right?
I am.
Good Air Force news here in Omaha. Offutt Air Force Base reopened its runway. 18 months of construction, $169 million. During that time, the planes of the 55th Wing or any other planes of dignitaries coming to visit Stratcom or anything like that, the planes were in Lincoln. I imagine some visitors had to use Epley, but finally, Offutt is back to normal. And that's a big deal.
It's great to hear, and $170 million worth of cement.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I'm thinking it's kind of deep on that runway.
Well, it's got to be.
You think about how long it takes us to build a mile stretch of road in West Omaha. Building a runway as deep as it must be, that's a heck of a project.
It is. It is.
Well, the University of Nebraska Board of Regents approved plans to build an innovation hub at UNMC. And we've talked about this before, but it's going in the old steel plant, which is west of Saddle Creek Road. And altogether, this thing is going to be called the Catalyst. Construction will begin this fall. Completion is planned for 2024. The companies that take technology from UNMC and bring it to the market, like Unimed and Unitech, will be in there, plus a food court, offices, event space. Craig, this is part of a building spree that's going to be coming to the Med Center. And if anyone ever doubted what a role UNMC plays in the local economy, they shouldn't anymore, because we've got billions of dollars of construction coming there. And in fact, just this morning before coming over to the studio, I drove by to see how the demolition of the Monroe-Meyer complex is coming along. It's coming.
Yeah.
UNMC is exciting.
It just never ceases to amaze me what the Med Center is able to pull off. And, there's a lot of history with that location. That steel plant came in 1906. They helped build the state capitol, was really an integral part of the railroad and the World War II efforts. They eventually relocated out to Wahoo, but tremendous history there, and it's great to see that being revitalized by the Med Center.
It's kind of cool to think that the steel for the state capitol building came, in many cases, just from the state of Nebraska.
That's right.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about road construction out west. 180th Street has opened north of Giles. And for those of you who are not familiar with this area, this was a godforsaken disaster for a long time. You had the Giles and 180th in this part of Sarpy County were gravel roads, probably 20 years longer than they should have been gravel roads. And part of it was there was this very awkward intersection with the Burlington Northern Railroad track and a creek. This is coming along. You can now go from Giles to Harrison on 180th over this beautiful viaduct. West of 180th on Giles, another bridge still under construction, but this is going to make a huge difference.
Well, it is huge, and I'm disappointed we're bringing it up on the radio because there's no traffic on 180th. I live in that direction, and it's been great because I live off of 180th and Cornhusker, so being able to take 180th all the way through to Q Street has been phenomenal with no traffic. But it's much needed, and to your point, the gravel roads, 192nd is from Giles to almost 370 is still gravel. They're putting in residential neighborhoods, they're putting in roads, but the 192nd is still gravel. So I'm hoping that we can get that project moving here fairly quickly.
Yeah, a lot of growth in that area. And finally, Mayor Stothert made an announcement this week that the Harney bike lane, which was off, is now on. And to give you a little bit of background on this, there's what we call the Midtown to Market protected bike lane on Harney Street, connects downtown to Midtown. And it was a pilot project just to see how it would happen. If you've ridden it or if you drove by, you noticed there were temporary bollards and lines, and for all indications are that the project has been a success. The problem is that pilot was set to expire yesterday, and the other problem is that the streetcar eventually is going to go where the lane is. But a lot of the bike interests, understandably, were upset that was going to go away. Well, it turns out a private donor has come forward and will cover the cost of the temporary space until we're ready for the streetcar construction to begin, which is probably a year or two away. And this private donor will also help with studies to determine where the permanent bike lane will go. Craig, this is good, though, because we want to keep encouraging, densification in the urban core and alternative transportation to fight traffic jams, et cetera.
Absolutely. And my first question is, you really think the streetcar thing's going to happen?
I do.
Because we've talked about it for so long here.
Like when Hal Daub proposed the one on 10th Street to the zoo back in the 90s.
Right. Yes. It's been talked about for a long time. So it's good to see that's finally progressing. And, we talk about staying active physically, and kudos to, first of all, the donor that stepped forward to be able to allow this bike path to continue. I'm not a bike person myself, but as you can tell, but
I cheer people who are when they pass me by when I'm walking.
Right. Yeah. But for those that want to stay physically active on a bike, and this is a win for them, and I think it's great they stood up to it, and kudos to the donor for coming along and helping this out. And hopefully we'll find another solution as a streetcar comes along here in a year or two. Hopefully.
And that's your news of the week, brought to you by Eagle Mortgage, eaglemortgagecompany.com. Going to take our first break of the hour. And when we come back, we're going to bring on a familiar voice. Stacy Winters is going to join us. He is the founder and administrator of Omaha Food Lovers, the group on Facebook, which has 86,000 food enthusiast members. So we're going to talk restaurants. We're going to make you very hungry. So stay with us. Stacy Winters is coming up. Craig Wolf from Cheer Athletics is substituting for Trenton Magid. And you're listening to Grow Omaha on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show. Jeff Beals here. Our good friend Craig Wolf, owner of Cheer Athletics, is substituting for the vacationing Trenton Magid. We're brought to you by D&M Roofing and Dingman's Collision Center. Dingman's has 4 locations across the metro area, and every location is outstanding. Help you with any sort of car repair. Of course, they're known for auto body work, but they also have mechanical service as well. Dingman's Collision Center. All right, Stacy Winters is with us, the founder of Omaha Food Lovers and local restaurant expert. Stacy, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. I love talking food.
Well,
I look forward to this every
favorite
quarter.
hobby.
Yeah, we have 3 guys here who probably eat their share of food and then some. So, Stacy, the Grow Omaha Eats brought to you by Cheer Athletics. Sarah Baker Hansen review this week was Winchester's Bar and Grill. What do you think of Winchester's?
Winchester's is really good. Sarah was spot on with her review. They're doing a lot of good comfort food there. Their burgers are really, really good, and they have some of the best specials. Like Tuesdays and Saturdays, you can get their cheeseburger and fries for like $6.99. I think you can't even get that fast food anymore. And this is, that burger with the perfectly melted cheese, the toasted bun. It is really, really good.
Craig, you and I were saying yesterday when we were doing show prep that we didn't even know it was there.
I had no idea they serve food.
It's at 70th and Q, dude.
Yeah. I'm going to be
commercials?
checking it out for sure.
You guys should be really following the Omaha Food Lovers.
I know.
Well,
Well, I hear
Just
them.
kidding.
major fail on my part there.
I'm just kidding.
Funny you should say that, Stacy, because I am on Omaha Food Lovers every day. I hear it, but I've never registered where the location was, right by
Just-
Funplex.
Yeah, just so many posts to keep track of. It is something that gets shared quite a bit.
I tell you what, I post a lot of Grow Omaha restaurant news on Omaha Food Lovers, and it's always amazing whenever I do. My favorite thing to do is like maybe 3 or 4 hours after I post any sort of our Grow Omaha restaurant news on Omaha Food Lovers, I see this spike in signups on our newsletter.
That's awesome.
That just shows you how many people. I mean, you got 86,000 members for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean the impact the group has. I've had restaurant owners tell me that they no longer have a marketing budget because the group allows them to. I mean, it's a target audience for them that they just put their stuff into the group.
Think about that.
How did you think about starting that? How did it start?
So it started in August 2019 is when we started it, and it was because I was in groups in Kansas City and Des Moines. I was in other groups in other cities, and Omaha has had there's older groups than ours, but they weren't really. They weren't curated the way that we've tried to curate this group to make it that interactive and. It's just a lot of positivity back and forth with people. And, I think the difference with this group has just been, it's not only the consumers, but it's also the business owners and, managers, employees that are, there's a lot of interaction between back and forth. Somebody sees something in another city or online and says, hey, can somebody do this? And boom. You see it, within days. Sometimes people start creating things because, if there's demand, somebody's gonna fulfill that demand.
So we'll talk about new places that Stacy has visited since he was last on the show in the next segment. But before we go to the news, I want to talk about one of my favorite subjects. That's fried chicken.
All right.
I understand you guys have been talking about fried chicken a lot lately. Let's talk about fried chicken.
Well, I think, with Church is opening a location off 168th and Maple, right?
And Trenton did that deal.
Yeah. So, and it's been a long time coming. I think it looks like it's going to be opening in October. Staffing can always be the thing. And fried chicken is one of my favorite foods. Funny enough, Sarah Baker Hansen, when she was at the World Herald, myself and my son actually participated in the fried chicken prow with her. So that was like
That's fun.
that was like 10 years ago at this. That was like 10 years ago at this point. But I think it's great we're getting a new fried chicken place in Omaha, right? But I think we have to remember that we have some phenomenal places still here in Omaha. Homegrown places that offer some great fried chicken, and just a few that I would highlight are Time Out Foods,
yes.
up on North 30th. That fried chicken, that's probably still my favorite. It's got that great crispy skin with the little cayenne pepper in the seasoning. It's always great with their crinkle cut fries. Trax, the Trax bar on South 60th, just north of Pacific. They're kind of known, I think, more so now for their wings, but I'm still probably a bigger fan of the fried chicken. That tells you how good it is.
What about Family Fare?
Family Fare, it's phenomenal, right? It's a grocery store,
It's amazing.
and everybody. It's been up to the top because we do these polls in our group. I think in 2021 it was number one in our group. It might have been this year too. A lot of people also like the Supermercado, which I think is affiliated to some degree, and they offer the spicy fried chicken at their location. So
Nice.
It's supposed to be really good. And then a couple others, Alpine Inn.
Oh, yeah,
it's
with the
like,
raccoons.
People go for the show, but the fried chicken's great. And one that I think a lot of people don't know, if you guys remember Richie's fried
Yeah,
chicken?
I remember
So
it.
Richie's was on
Center.
Street where Sunnyside's at now.
Yeah.
Well, Richie's still is around, but a lot of people don't know it. They pop up at Pop's Place, the old bar down in South Omaha,
No kidding.
on Sundays from 12 to 6. I don't know if it's every Sunday, but they have really good fried chicken, and actually they'll serve you a nice Bloody Mary for like $4 or $5 or something like that. So that's a fun little Sunday outing to go to Pop's Place for some fried chicken.
All right, fellas, we're going to let the listeners get caught up with the news here at the half hour. But when we come back, Craig and I are going to be talking more with Stacy about a few new places that he has tried in the last quarter since he's been on the show. You're listening to Grow Omaha. Jeff Beals and Craig Wolf of Cheer Athletics, substituting for Trenton Magid. We're brought to you by D&M Roofing and Dingman's Collision Center. Back in a moment on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And Grow Omaha is back, brought to you by D&M Roofing and Dingman's Collision Center. Eric Oberumt and the team at D&M Roofing do a great job with your roof, whether it's a residential one or a commercial one. Outstanding roofing services throughout the metro area. And they even serve Des Moines and Iowa and the area in between. So Jeff Beals here. Craig Wolf from Cheer Athletics is in as a guest co-host because Trenton Magid is taking the week off. And I do have a quick update on the real estate development spotlight brought to you by Nautil Companies, but we're going to include Stacy Winters in this commercial real estate development spotlight brought to you by Nautil Companies because it's restaurant related. By the way, Nautil Companies is an outstanding developer all over the country, but they're big time here in Omaha. Xarban Village, Builders District, Steel Ridge, River's Edge, and many others. At any rate, guys, in the Interrail Food Hall, Pops has opened, and it's a pizza place. And I've yet to try it, but from a couple people I've heard from already, they've said it's really good. Our friend Dan Hoppin, who does Restaurant Hoppin, had some good things to say about it. So the food hall is a fun place to go because there's always new stuff there all the time. Yeah,
it's a destination place here in Omaha now. They've done a really, really good job with that, the Interrail area, with not only all the restaurants there, but the Sunnies, the bar outside, the dog park that's there. You can get drinks while you're with your dog there. So and like you said, Pops is the place that's being opened by Piero Katrina from WD Cravings. So I was sad to see WD Raclettery leave. I mean, they were only there.
It was a cool place.
Like 3 or 4 months. It was definitely unique to Omaha. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what how Pops does there. So.
That's a great thing about food halls, though. You can test and experiment things, and then we get to enjoy it while the experiments are happening.
Yeah, that's right. We have another, the camp, the food hall is going to be opening up where Switch was previously, so they'll be opening up here soon, too.
So Stacy Winters is the head of Omaha Food Lovers, and Stacy, we always like to ask you, what are some places you've tried since the last time you were on the show?
So we'll start with a few, what I would say, new places, and not necessarily places. One of them is a food truck or a food bus in this situation. So I think probably the most popular or newest place that's came into town was Izzy's Pizza Bus. So it's a pizza bus. They moved here from Las Vegas to raise their family. And they were a huge following in Las Vegas, and we were lucky enough to be where they decided to move. And they are specializing in Detroit-style pizza. So you follow their Facebook page to find out where they're at. But every Wednesday, they're at Bearded Brewer, which is a great brewery.
180th and Q.
Correct. I think Sofra Kitchen is a new one that just opened up in Midtown Crossing. I checked them out last week for brunch. I really didn't really go for the brunch food. I went for the burger, but a mushroom truffle burger was really, really good, and some home cut fries. Same people that do Sofra Creperie in the Interrail Food Hall. And just a few, I think probably I have two very opposites here. Best meals I think I've had in the last quarter. So I'll start with The Porch over in Council Bluffs. And it's, again, not like a high-end restaurant by any means. And I hate to say something's the best I've ever had, but I can do it with this. Their patty melt that I had at The Porch was the best I've ever had. Like, I bit into it, and I'm like, okay, like this is the best I've ever had.
Anywhere and everywhere.
I'm getting really hungry right now.
And the one thing they also offer that everybody's looking for is the best cheese curds. And in Omaha, the Omaha area, those are my favorite. They're listed on their menu as cheese balls, not cheese curds, but they're cheese curds. And their serving size is massive, where a lot of places you don't get a huge serving. Theirs is definitely enough to share. So that was a really good one. And Spezia or Spezia, however you pronounce it.
I always call it Spezia.
Spezia.
Easier.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody knows how you pronounce it.
But we all know what we're talking about.
Spezia.
They're not new to Omaha by any means, but for some reason they had not been. I hadn't been there. I'd been there early on when they opened, but I hadn't been back for a long time. And I went and blew me away. Service was excellent. Food was excellent. We shared. When you eat with me, it's like you have to know you're going to be sharing what we order. Everybody shares what you order, so you get to try everything. But we tried their mushroom ravioli with their filet, and it was really good. The filet, I was shocked at how good their filet was. It was super, and it was very, very reasonable. And then their gnocchi and chicken dish, that's something. Somebody was in the group asking for gnocchi the other day, and that is the best gnocchi dish I've had there.
Wow.
Or I've had in Omaha. So I think those are, I got a few others. I don't know where we're at with time at this point, but El Aeropone moved down to Bellevue. Their little restaurant down there is really, really good.
Venezuelan food that had been in the Switch Food Hall.
Yeah, Richard Mendoza is the owner there. He's the really nice, sweet guy. They now offer a much broader menu now, much expanded menu, and they're serving drinks and cocktails and stuff like that there as well. The Three Kids lobster truck, that was for lobster rolls. They're not cheap. I mean, they're not going to be cheap anywhere you get lobster roll. So I've seen on people complain about pricing on a lobster roll, but I'm like, I think it's $22, and theirs is spot on. It's really, really good. I would highly recommend if you want to try a lobster roll, that's where I would go try one at.
Interesting. I've heard some interesting news this week that the La Solo Mio building has now been leased. And it's going to be called the Mio, and they're going to try and keep the recipes. It sounds like fairly familiar, similar to the Solo Mios. Yeah,
that was just announced yesterday, so it was a big hot topic yesterday. A lot of people sharing that post. Looks like Lance and Sarah Brown have purchased or are leasing the building.
Former Husker.
Yeah, and they are, I think, trying to keep the recipes, somewhat similar. It sounds like that was the idea and the plan behind it. So, and interesting enough, as we were chatting offline here, there's a Puerto Rican restaurant that's going to open up across the street in their old banquet hall area. So, I think a lot of people have asked about where you can get Puerto Rican food, and to date, it's really only been this. It's been something you can get catered from certain home cooks or things like that. So it's exciting to have that business opening up too.
Wow, if you live in that neighborhood, you're well fed.
Yes, definitely. You got Dinkers nearby there too.
Which I never get tired of that.
Never.
Hey, Stacy, we do have a couple of restaurants that people love that are going to be closing here pretty soon, and so we want to acknowledge them. Yeah,
Dario's is closing. I don't know if we've actually got an official date on Dario's yet. They, sometime in October. I went one kind of last time in the end of August, and I'm gonna miss those mussels. Those were super, super good there, and their cheeseburger. I think they're known for their burger and frites. Super good. And then Rivera's is closing at the end of this month as well. I know on your newsletter, I think you guys said October 31st. So I imagine it's October 29th, which is that Saturday would be the last day. But
because you said they're closed on Saturdays and Mondays.
Sunday and Monday.
Sundays and Mondays.
So I think the 29th would probably be their last day. And I've been hearing like wait times right now are 3 to 4 hours because they don't take reservations. I forgot to mention Dario's. They said that they're basically completely booked up through the end of the month. So I don't know if you can even get in at this point.
So obviously not closing for lack of business.
No, yeah, neither of them are at this point. I think it's just I've heard some with Dario's, it's a staffing thing. It's the whole situation that I think most everybody in the industry is facing.
It's a tough world in the restaurant business these days, but we're going to take our final break of the hour. We're going to have Stacy stay with us for the lightning round. You're listening to Grow Omaha. Craig Wolf is substituting for Trenton Magid. He is co-owner of Cheer Athletics, and we're brought to you by D&M Roofing and Dingman's Collision Center. The Turner Construction Lightning Round is on the deck right after this on News Radio 1110 KFAB. And welcome back to the show, brought to you by Dingman's Collision Center and D&M Roofing. Our good friend Craig Wolf, owner of Cheer Athletics, is here for Trenton Magid, who has the weekend off. I'm Jeff Beals, and it's time for the Turner Construction Lightning Round. Turner Construction is one of the most respected and well-known construction contractors on planet Earth, and they're big time here in Omaha doing projects like the Sarpy County Data Center, and then small projects all over the city, all over the metro area, build outs for retail spaces, office renovations. They do everything from the very big to the very small and everything in between. And their people are just outstanding, so friendly, so service-oriented, and so dedicated to making sure projects happen in the right way, on time and on budget. So Turner Construction is the sponsor of the Grow Omaha Lightning Round. Stacy Winters is still with us from Omaha Food Lovers. Guys, couple little restaurant updates on the docket here on the Lightning Round. First of all, Clean Eats Cafe is coming to Regency Landing. It's a health food place, 70 locations in 18 states.
Yeah, Regency is getting Canara as well.
Yeah, I tell you, having Canara at Regency, I cannot wait for that to open up a lot more space than the existing.
And when
Canara.
does that open?
I think they're going to close in October and reopen maybe end of October, early November, something like that.
And then in their press release or their announcement, they said it would be by the end of this month. Right. So hopefully that's true. This is kind of cool. The Eat Kasan location in the old Fuzzy's Taco Shop at Village Point, about 3 weeks away. They're going to take the outdoor patio that Fuzzy's had and turn it into a four-season room. Oh, nice. Indoor-outdoor space.
Interesting.
That'll be pretty cool. A couple of quick serve places. Pepper Jack's now open at Highway 50 and I-80 Sarpy County. Qdoba open at 189th and Dodge. Stories Coffee held a ribbon cutting this week for its Gretna location. Yet another Starbucks. The old joke in Chicago and New York is they open across the street from each other. In West Omaha, they open 1 mile from each other. Right. So this one coming to 90th and Maple. Got Starbucks under development in La Vista right now, 204th and Q. They're everywhere.
There's a new Zen Coffee coming to One Pacific Place, too. They're taking over the old Scooters location, and they'll be opening up here within a couple weeks.
Zen Coffee is a pretty good place.
It's a really good place.
I'm a big fan of that. So a couple other things we want to talk about restaurant really fast in just a couple of minutes that we have left. We wanted to mention, there was one thing I was going to ask you, Stacy, but I don't see it on here. So I guess we'll just kind of throw out a last little question. When you look at the next couple of months, what are some places you want to try?
Tomorrow I'm going brunch at Mantra. I've been to brunch there. It's been a while, but Mantra in Benton, always a good location. I think the number one place on my list I still haven't been is to Corner Kitchen. Oscar Hernandez is the owner-operator of that location. He's got experience at, I think, 402, 712. Lots of other restaurants besides that, though. He's got a great resume. And they're doing some of the best, I would say, fusion, like Korean tacos and just mixing up, lots of, they've taken kind of the best hits from, from like birria tacos, elote, tots, all of the above. They're kind of just taking all of that and kind of just mixing it up. So a lot of good stuff happening there. I think, another one I want to try, again, been there forever, Blondie's Bar and Grill. Like Blondie's on Grover. It's a bar pizza, but it looks really, really good. I know they've been around for a while, but I've not tried it. But somebody just recently posted about it. So
have you tried Hobby's Tacos?
Oh yeah, Hobby's Tacos. I've tried. Yeah, Hobby's.
I can walk to the original location.
Yeah. I like their birria has gotten better actually. And Javi and I have talked about it because I talked to him about it originally. So it's really good.
And the music's playing, so we're done. Stacy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Stacy Winters, Omaha Food Lovers. Craig, been a pleasure having you on.
What a great day to be on, especially when we're talking food, and we'll probably keep talking about food afterwards.
That's right. Craig Wolf from Cheer Athletics, substituting for Trenton Magid. I'm Jeff Beals. You've been listening to Grow Omaha, brought to you by D&M Roofing, Dingman's Collision Center, and Turner Construction. We'll chat with you next week at 9 o'clock right here on News Radio 1110 KFAB. If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.